Rise and shine, another day, another life. Real quick, rise and shine for a lifetime. Real quick, I was looking at a video a buddy of mine posted on Facebook. It was a young guy about 16, said that he was not African. Now, I took that in the wrong way. I thought he was just saying he wasn't African, and just because of self-hatred or something like that. But he was saying he was not African because we don't have African culture here in America. And we really don't. Just little specks of it, maybe here and there. But for the most part, our institutions, European, all of them, hospital, schools, military, churches, they are European based. And if you're a European, that's perfectly fine, because you're supposed to represent your culture. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. However, it's a problem when you rep someone else's culture and it's not yours. If it's doing you good and it's making you a better person, I give you that. But at the end of the day, we don't have African culture. And I'm saying we're African because we descended from the bloodline. Our bloodline goes back to the motherland. All bloodline do, because that's where the germ life comes from, Africa. The Chinese and European have done their research, at least through 2 accounts that I can recall and gonna post on my page. They did the homework, they did the research. They had archaeologists, biologists, they went through the science, and they gave it up. Africans are their ancestors. Simple as that. Heavy melanated or not, that's where it boils down to. On top of that, our diet, what is our traditional garments and clothing that identifies with us? We have European clothing, European diet, European names. A Jew will not buy a German car. Why? Because he do not identify with the colonizer who took down hundreds, millions of their ancestors. So they honor their Holocaust to keep in mind what happened to their ancestors. They will never forget, which is wise for them to pass that down to their children. By us not identifying with being African, we are disconnected. So our oppressor can continue to feed off our spirit and keep us trapped, because they gave you their European religion as well. You cannot have an African religion going into slavery. You cannot have an African name going into slavery. You cannot have an African education going into slavery. You cannot have an African military going into slavery, unless it was governed by them, slave master. So fast forward 2025, you have people that don't identify with being African. And you don't have to. You know, it's fine. You can identify with Native American, you know, if you want. But remember, reincarnation is real, whether you believe it or not. And that it was a movie called Ghost in the Darkness, based on a true story, where in this town that was invaded by Europeans that raped, killed, tortured, and some other things, took over the town. Some Africans that made it through are just, you know, going along with the people, and, you know, and like everything good with the people that enslaved them over there. And two of the Africans that were killed in that town, they reincarnated as lions. They came back and they mauled and ate up and slaughtered a lot of people that was in that town that had a lot to do with that town being taken over. Those two lions is in the Chicago Museum today. And now you think they just made that up out the thin blue air and put those lions in Chicago to make some money and made the movie and said it was a true story when it wasn't? It's real. And they gave us hell and heaven to have us in fear. They made up race to justify slavery. Do the research. It was 3 or 4 males or more back in the 1600s that had their hand in slavery. And in creating the 5 races. One was Francois Bernerer. The other one was George Buffon. And there was another one named Johann Blumenbach. And these people were very successful in dividing the human race into 5 different races. So, taking care of business, you're filling out an application, you got forms and papers, you got to check off a little box, black, non-Hispanic, African, African-American, whatever. People don't want to claim to be African. It's cool, but at the end of the day, remember, what goes around comes around. Don't leave your ancestors hanging by not honoring them. Black History Month is not going to teach you a lot. It give you some basic stuff, but sometimes you got to dig a little bit if you care about the truth. Some people don't care about the truth. They just living for right now, and I get it, you know. But sometimes you have to look back to go forward, you know. And that's all I'm saying. Your name. That movie, Roots, they beat the hell out of Kunta Kinte until he submitted to Toby. Because they could not have an African male keeping his African name going into slavery, being conquered. They did that for a huge reason. You think it was light and it was just for back then? No. DNA goes a long way. That's why they got blood banks. They got blood banks for a very good reason. And they know that blood is information. The DNA strand is information. So just keep that and be mindful and pick and choose what works for you. Peace.